Now You See Me, which Paul Daniels meets Ocean's 11.
Baboon.
Guys, what did you think?
What did you think?
I think your Ocean's 11 comment is absolutely right, that the scriptwriter and the director of this film sat down and watched all the Ocean's films and were like, okay, let's bring this in, let's mix this with The Prestige and The Illusionist and try and make a really slick comedy, well, not really comedy, dramedy, magic heist film. That's what, that's what it comes off as.
I think that unfortunately they landed on Ocean's 12 though. The fact is it's incredibly slick, and I know they had like David Copperfield, and our good old Keith Barry was helping Woody Harrelson. We should mention that the plot is like 4 great magicians get together, and they seem to be up to a huge job of they do a bank heist, they do various different elaborate world kind of crushing magic tricks, and Mark Ruffalo, the cop, has got to try and chase them down to figure out what they're going to do next and why they're doing it. And there's also a history of magicians who have been kind of crushed in some way, as an artist and all the rest, and there may be revenge in the background. And Morgan Freeman is a debunker of magic who's constantly kind of on their case, and Michael Caine is their benefactor who's giving them money. So all these sort of twists and turns happen that you're not quite sure what is going on as a magic trick should be, but the whole film is sort of based on that idea that you're never quite sure what the motivations are, and of course there has to be a rug pull at the end that you don't realise what exactly what the setup was, which is all fine and good, and Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson, these people are always generally worth watching, but there was just a slickness to this that was annoying. It was like a David Copperfield overplayed kind of scarf waving, smoke exploding. I just found that the actual plotting and the characters, you just didn't believe them, and I think that was crucial, that you've already got CGI on your side, you've got cameras on your side, all these things lie to you, so you better make some sort of grit that you believe this is real, that these people are doing these things.
They did try and reduce the amount of CGI in the film though, did they?
Yeah.
Regarding,
but like at one point a scarf twirls around and a cage is revealed. Isla Fisher floats in a bubble that Jesse Eisenberg has just blown. So you think,
right.
I'm not sure if that's really ever going to happen, that even with wires through a bubble that's just been blown up, I don't know if Isla Fisher would land in the bubble and go up onto the balcony. So I think they just overstepped, they overplayed their hand. The sleight of CGI takes it too far that you actually don't care anymore what happens, because none of it is feasibly going to be real, and it loses all that grit. At least with the Ocean's movies, there's a sort of signs that maybe this could work, maybe they could do this, and you get the thrill of seeing the plan in action and seeing how they get over alarms and all that. Anything can happen really, and you don't give a hoot after a while.
They're asking the audience to suspend their disbelief twice. I mean, going into any film, you're suspending your disbelief to a certain degree in order to allow this story to happen. No? Well,
it's all true. It's all true.
So if they had to tone it down a bit.
But they're asking the audience to do it twice in order to believe the magic, like Paul said, to believe that, a scarf can go from this big to stage encompassing and reveal a cage that, nobody saw appearing on the stage. It's that kind of thing that goes against the film.
Because you look at these, Darren Brown, and you look at some horrible guy like David Blaine, the great Whitini, you know that some things are doable. Like Dynamo over the weekend, with a false arm on a bus, was able to brace himself, supposedly standing beside a double-decker bus. There was a big bus in London yesterday where he's promoting some drinks. It's the usual thing. But there are ways to make things look incredible, and you can figure out with a little bit of time, that's how they did it. Yeah. With this, you just give up on that side of it, that you realise none of this that they're showing us, a lot of this is not possible. So therefore, why would we even begin to think about the job in hand, like the heist in hand, the trick in hand? And that's a shame, because if they'd stepped back, as you say, they would have given us much more of a thrill to figure out, this is how they're doing it.
I think as well, coming out on the back of The Incredible Burt Wonderstone, where every trick goes wrong, where Steve Carell and Steve Buscemi tried to suspend themselves in a box over the Las Vegas Strip.
I thought we never think of that ever again.
That trick failed at every level.
Coming out on the back of that, where every trick goes wrong, you kind of start picking at the tricks and going, well, how are they doing it? And it becomes much more of a preoccupation than focusing on the story and the heists.
The one good thing about this movie, and I do think it looks fine and the actors are good and all that, but it just doesn't work really ultimately. But it did kill M. Night Shyamalan's career, so we should be very, very
well
about that.
It did very well at the box office.
29.3 million over the weekend. Now, even though after it did 27 million, that's a good figure. It's still, for Will Smith and all that, that's a disaster. And hopefully that's it for M. Night Shyamalan. That'd be great. Now he'll be doing TV.
He has a TV show in the making at the moment on Fox.
He'll be doing he'll be doing local kind of tourist videos.
So this movie, it has a big ensemble cast. Got Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Jesse Eisenberg in there. How do they all work together on screen? Does the big ensemble work, or are you just too preoccupied with all these famous faces on screen together.
It kind of does become the Jesse Eisenberg show. He does become the kind of leader of the Four Horsemen, which is the group of the four magicians. I mean, Dave Franco is completely sidelined until one scene with Mark Ruffalo quite late in the film. And you know, what was the point of bringing him in if you're just going to sideline him anyway?
Just for the teenage girls, I think. You know, just literally eye
bring
candy.
a Franco in.
Well, he's not candy for it, but just he almost taps into the Bieber. You know, the just that he looks young. He looks like a 15-year-old. He's cute and all that. I think they just wanted to do the Benetton thing of hitting the four quadrants of the markets that might like this movie, and Isla Fisher's the hot girl and all that, and they weren't. I don't think Isla Fisher or Franco was particularly good in it,
no.
And didn't do their job well, but.
And Michael Caine, once his plotline is revealed, he just completely disappears, and Morgan Freeman just looks really good in the hat, I'm afraid. That's kind of
I think that nobody's truly dreadful in it. Nobody's truly brilliant, because you kind of, if you lose faith in a movie, you don't believe in it, and the truth goes out of it for you. And there's truth in all sorts of fantasies. Star Wars and all that. You can believe in their truth because it's so strong, and you believe in what they feel and what they're doing and all that. And when you lose that here, I don't think any amount of acting will really lift you out of that. And I don't think anybody's going to look particularly good. If there's a bad smell in the room, nobody's going to be, looking good, or you're not going to feel good about the, the party. So I think that happens to all of them. They might have little moments. They do what they do. Caine is Caine. Freeman is Freeman, really. There's just that sort of feeling all the way through the movie that you gradually lose faith in it. It always, explodes every now and again. There's fireworks. There's a bit of a Shazam. But it's just hollow.
Just really briefly, so a lot of the press in the States,
25 to 11.
We're going to rock now. A lot of the press around the movie is about this interview that Jesse Eisenberg did on the junket, where he...
There's some horrible, stupid woman giving really dumb questions, and that'll happen. I think I'm perfectly okay with with smart people turning on dumb journalists. I think they should all the time. I think there's no reason to
she doesn't seem like a smart journalist.
But yeah, and you can't, this expose culture, you can't live with that. I just think it dumbs us down, it dumbs the interview down, it dumbs everything down. It becomes a marketing tool. You end up with just a piece of marketing where you're saying, it's great to work with George Clooney, I love this director, working in Las Vegas was fantastic, it's a beautiful place, do go there for your holidays, I heartily endorse this event or product. It becomes an ad. And I think if you get a dumb, useless, sort of unresearched, no passion at all in an interview, you should turn on them, you should rip them, you should let them feel that was not a good job, that was just a waste of my time and your time, and that, I think, happened there. It's just that he's not a completely high-fiving, confident guy. He's not Will Smith, he's not Tom Cruise, but he's not unintelligent, he's not inarticulate, he can
and talk. He's very experienced.
My interview with him was incredible, so you can just see it.
Did he make you cry?
Smart interview. He did, of course. Yeah. We got both emotional, but we try to keep that off camera. The hugging and all that. It just seems a bit over sentimental on camera. Okay.
I give Now You See Me 6 out of 10. It's a pretty good magic thriller, but not quite as clever as it thinks it is.
I think for Now You See Me, I'm going to go 5. I think the starter was lovely, but the main course was a bit sort of weak, and I didn't think the dessert was up to much.